Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I am your teacher, Mrs. Aksa Kamal, Assistant Professor of English. I welcome you all in our first online lecture of English Literature for class second year, and I wish you a safe and joyous homestay. Before moving to our lecture, we shall analyze the syllabus contents first. As you see on the slide, I have given all the syllabus contents on it along with the examination weightage these contents carry. The first book is that of a new anthology of poems, which holds the section of poetry. You will cover from poems number 13 to 23rd, as you know that you have covered the first 12 poems in first year. This poetry section contains 20 marks. The next book is that of the play by Shakespeare, The Merchant of Venice, as well of 20 marks. We have one novel, Under the Greenwood Tree by Thomas Hardy, and this also carries the examination weightage of 20 marks. Next we have to complete the two grammar topics, one of essays on any descriptive or narrative topic, and the next one a letter to the newspaper, and both of these contents carry 20 marks each. Hence, it makes the total of 100 marks. Now we move towards our first poem, Prayer Before Birth by Louis Magnus. First, we get to know a bit about our poet, Louis Magnus. He was an Irish poet, and he wrote this poem in about 1944 in the background of World War II. When the bombing was done, the natural elements and the greenery of the atmosphere was being destroyed, the human rights were violated, and the great destruction was inflicted upon the human race. You will feel the touch of these attackings in different stanzas as you go along reading the poem. And when we see the title of the poem, Prayer Before Birth, we see that it's a very powerful title, exactly suiting the style and the events in the poem. The unborn child seems to have a fear of the world he has to come in. He seems to be afraid of the number of things. He feels a sense of horror, torture, violence, and entrapment. Although he has to be a member of the human race after he is born, but he is afraid of his own race. He is scared of the terrifying world as the human beings have turned it into a hellish structure. So he ultimately makes prayer for the things he requires when he comes into this world. Dear students, before we move towards explanation of the poem, I tell you that all the difficult words and meanings are enlisted in the last slide. You can consult the slide and note the meanings of the difficult words in your poem. Now let us start our first stanza and see what the unborn child wants from God. He says, I am not yet born. Oh, hear me. Let not the blood-sucking bat, or the rat, or the stoat, or the club-footed ghoul come near me. The starting line, I am not yet born, is an example of anaphora, one of the literary terms you studied in first year. You will see that each stanza starts with this line, and soon after his reminder that he is not yet born, there falls an imperative request, oh, hear me. In the next stanza, you see starting line remains the same, but the imperative changes. For your understanding, I tell you that in the imperative style, the conversation starts with the verb. So here, hear me is the imperative, whereas the next stanzas will include console me, provide me, fill me, and kill me. The unborn child wants to be heard. Against his suspicions and doubts, he does not seem to be happy with his fate of coming into this world unless he is provided with the safety to combat the threats which he is going to face in this world. The strong imperative of let not suggests the intensity of his fear. He is afraid of the evil spirits and evil animals and birds and does not want to be entangled in them. The blood-sucking bat, the rat, the stoat, or the club-footed ghoul are all the evil beings he wants to remain safe from. For the meanings of these words, you can see the slide of words meanings. Dear students, these lines are not difficult to understand as we can relate it to our own religion, as often we recite many surahs from the Holy Quran to get protection from the fears of the unseen and the evil beings. So here, the unborn child demands safety from the satanic or the evil spirits. We move to the second stanza, and I read it. I am not yet born, console me. I fear that human race may with tall walls wall me, with strong drugs dope me, with wise lies lower me, on black racks rack me, in blood baths roll me. This stanza is a beautiful example of alliteration in which we feel the repetition of the same sound as tall walls wall me, with strong drugs dope me, with wise lies lower me, black racks rack me, and blood baths roll me. All this creates rhythm in our mind and is appealing to our ears. Anyhow, we start analyzing the poem in this stanza in which the unborn child says to God, console me. Now consider this word and think who we console with. We usually console with the grief-stricken person, and each following line depicts the height of his fear and the extreme sense of insecurity. Pathetically, we see that the innocence of the child is afraid of the brutality of the human race. The unborn child does not want to be encaged in the big walls, and other than imprisonment, he does not want to be dosed with drugs, nor does he seem to be ready to face the dual world of lies which will mislead his consciousness. The mention of black racks rack me and the blood baths roll me exhibit the sense of torture and violence which have unfortunately become the dominant features of the human race. This is our third stanza. Let's take its reading. I am not yet born. Provide me with water to dandle me, grass to grow for me, trees to talk to me, sky to sing to me, birds and a white light in the back of my mind to guide me. When we read the first line of the stanza, we know that the unborn child uses the word provide me. It means he wants some provision. His fear of deprivation is obvious here. The unborn child seems to be more concerned with what he needs when he writes into this world. He is focusing on the natural elements for the most part. This was written, as I told you earlier, in the background of 1944, when the World War II was in continuation. It was a time when the natural world was being destroyed by the bombs and so on, and the unborn child seems to be well aware that the absence of the natural elements will toughen his life. So he's concerned about making a special prayer for these elements like water, grass, trees, sky, and birds, etc. In our real life, when we feel tired, depressed, or sick, we want to be surrounded by the natural objects to enjoy the soothing and the healing power of the nature that absorbs our poisonous worries and soothes our mind. In that very way, the unborn child longs for or desires or makes a request for these very things. One more thing is also noticeable here, that the white light is also asked for here. Now we see what this white light is. It is the wisdom that he is demanding. The wisdom or the better understanding of the world or the environment can lead us towards ease and success. Hence, unless we are blessed with the wisdom to guide us, we cannot hope to lead and enjoy our life. Now we are on our fourth stanza. Let's take its reading. I am not yet born. Oh, fill me with strength against those who would freeze my humanity, would dragoon me into a lethal automaton, would make me a cog in a machine, a thing with one face, a thing, and against all those who would dissipate my entirety, would blow me like thistledown, hither and thither, or hither and thither, like water held in the hands, would spill me. The unborn child seems to feel a sense of emptiness when he uses the word, oh, fill me. What he wants to be filled with. He demands to have strength, as the next line exhibits, but the question arises, what he wants to have a strength for? He is actually foreseeing certain fears and wants a strength against those who would, I quote his own words, freeze my humanity, dragoon me into a lethal automaton, make me a cog in a machine, dissipate my entirety, and blow me like thistledown, and spill me like water. After getting birth, the unborn child wants to lead a free and a self-determined life. He wants to be blessed with the strength to remain safe from the malpractices of the human beings. He wants to be beneficial for the humanity rather. He wants to remain secure when the cruel people will try to convert him into a deadly machine for the benefit of their own. He does not want to be a cog in a machine. A cog in a machine is an idiomatic expression. In the slide of words meanings, I have written its meaning in detail. So he does not want to be a cog, a part of a machine that runs unthoughtfully. Instead of becoming a thing in others' hands, he wants to be a warm-blooded and a passionate human being. He wants to remain strong when the cruel people will dispel or scatter his existence. He wants to remain firm-footed rather than becoming like a thistledown which is easily blown with mouth. Dear students, you would have experienced blowing thistledown many times in your life. It is a very light and soft substance that carries a thistle seed also. You can search for its image on the internet for more clarification. So he does not want to be blown by others like a thistledown, nor does he want to be as shapeless as water to be spilled by anyone. Students, now we have come to the last verses of our poem. I take a reading. Let them not make me a stone, and let them not spill me, otherwise kill me. Dear students, here we find the two contrast images of stone and spill. Spillage is that of a liquid, whereas stone is a solid substance. In a literary sense, stone signifies a cold and emotionless fellow, whereas water stands for shapeless things, and the poet does not want to be either of these. The next line, otherwise kill me, is the last sudden and an abrupt wish for death, in case his prayer is not fulfilled. His wish for death shakes us, stirs our emotions, and wins our sympathies for the unborn child, because he prefers death over the life of cruelty. So, dear students, here ends our poem, and I hope you would have understood it. If not, listen it repeatedly and comment me for the problems you faced so that I make them up in my next lecture. Dear students, this slide displays the difficult words used in the poem and their meanings are written against them. Listen to these words and note them down on your book so that when the next time you take reading, the poem is somewhat understood. Let's see these words. Blood-sucking bat, a bat that sucks blood. Stoat, a small animal. Club-footed, having badly shaped feet. Ghoul, An evil spirit, in stories often, that opens graves and eats the dead bodies. Console, to give comfort. Wall me, it means trap me. Dope, to give drug. Lure, attract. Dandle, to play. White light is wisdom. Dragoon, it means turn forcefully. Lethal, it means deadly or fatal. Automaton, a person who behaves like a machine without thinking anything. A cog in a machine. This is an idiom and it explains as a person who is a small part of a large organization. The next word is dissipate. It means scatter. The next is entirety. That means totality. Thistledown, a very soft white silky substance with thistledown seed blown by the wind. Hither and thither, it means here and there. Spill, spill means flow, and flow is that of a liquid, of course. Because flow in the poem is mentioned for the water. In the end, I thank you all for watching this video. Take care of yourself and Allah Hafiz.